This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
Bored at home? Head over to Chumba Casino and join some serious social casino fun. With hundreds of games at your fingertips, no purchase necessary. You can play anytime, anywhere. There's a special welcome bonus waiting for you when you sign up. Play for fun, play for free, and you could even redeem some great prizes. Visit ChumbaCasino.com and get ready to reel in the fun. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
So Russ, you think you're a profiler. And listen, I believe you. I think that you have a really good intuition when it comes to reading people. But today, we're going to have a conversation with a woman who has spent 6 years interviewing and becoming very close and having intimate conversations with over 50 serial killers. I'm super excited for our listeners to hear what she has to say and all of her insights. This is our conversation with Laura Brand. Okay, so today Russ and I get to have the pleasure of chatting with private investigator, forensic psychologist, and overall badass, Laura Brand. Hi, Laura.
Hey, guys. How are you?
What's up, Laura? First guest on the podcast.
Yeah,
oh my God, I'm so honored.
So, okay, why don't you tell our listeners, even though I talked about you a couple episodes ago, so some people are familiar with you, and a couple of our followers started following you on Instagram because they're super interested in what you're doing. So why don't you tell everybody who doesn't know what it is that you do?
So I am a licensed private psychologist, private investigator. I'm a forensic psychologist practitioner. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing a huge collective study on serial killers. And then I've been working on the Toolbox Killer case with Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris. So right now I have a book. My first book is in the works. And a docuseries is going to come out about like all my investigation into this crazy, crazy case.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
So what was the thing that got you interested in like true crime and forensics and this whole field in general?
You know, it's so weird because my dad used to read me Nancy Drew as a kid. So that's where it started from. I would read Nancy Drew and I was like, oh my God, I want to be Nancy Drew.
That's cool.
And then I just, went to college for it and it just stuck ever since I was like a little girl.
So that's why you're Nancy Drew on Instagram.
Yes.
What's your Instagram name again?
It's Nancy Drew 187. Nancy Drew murder is the code 187.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that makes sense. That's very clever.
Why did you choose serial killers in particular to like really study deeply?
I think, it's the person who could commit murder, but multiple times. Like there's just something about the mindset of somebody who could go back and keep doing it You know, it's so different from somebody who just may commit murder like a crime of passion. Like a serial killer is somebody who is enjoying it and keeps doing it. So that's what I really wanted to like look into. Like, how could somebody keep committing murder and liking it and getting off on committing murder and getting away with it, you know?
Totally. Russ loves, like, he's really, not loves because that sounds funny, but he's really interested in serial killers too. That's like his favorite cases that I tell him.
I think I like them because they can get away with stuff. Not that I want to kill people. There's a lot of people I don't like, and I'm like, man, I wish they weren't around. I mean, I'm not going to kill anyone.
You like how clever they are? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I think it started with me with like, I just like TV shows. Like I like Dexter. I thought that was dope.
Oh, that's my favorite show.
Yeah, it's the best. Like I related to him. He loved eating in the car, and I love eating in the car. We're like exactly the same. And now it's just forced on me with Jess.
Every week I force him to listen to these stories.
I know. I've been like listening to you guys. I'm actually like fangirling right now because I love
good.
Oh, that's so cool. Because I feel like I'm on a job interview now. I'm like, it's the first person we have out on the podcast. I don't know what to say.
No, I've been like diving into like your podcast. I'm like loving it. And you guys are just hysterical together.
Oh, good.
That Cold Valley case you studied, I went back and watched on Hulu. And it's so funny because that woman, Gloria, who's been like reinvestigating the whole case, she just reached out to me today. And tomorrow I'm talking with her about that case because that guy, I don't, you said his name on air already. So
yeah, I already said it, but yeah, no, that case, I went down the rabbit hole too with that one. That one really got me hooked. And I love Gloria. Her and I actually, I'm part of their Facebook group. And I've spoken to her on Facebook as well. That's so cool that you guys are going to talk. That's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't believe that one guy is, connected to all 5 of those killings. I'm just like, what?
I know.
But, yeah, it's crazy.
And then we got all bold and said his name.
I know. So me and Russ, if we end up dead, you know where to look.
Yeah, right.
So when it comes to like going to San Quentin, like I can't imagine being like, a younger girl going into a place like that, or a younger woman. Sorry, we're not girls. You're probably around my age, but like going into a place like that in San Quentin, it seems so scary and intimidating. Like, how was it the first time you ever went? And like when you went, did you immediately walk in and be like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Pretty much. Like I walked in, I was like, oh my God, because I thought it was going to be like, behind glass with a telephone, like you see on TV, and you go in and they put you in a tiny little cage, padlock you inside with them. And I was like, oh my God, because I'd never even seen, any TV show or anything do this. They put you in a tiny little cage. And so I got in there and I was like, holy shit. And Bittaker was one of my first guys. And it's really, really intimidating. But, now I just, it's like I just walk on and I'm saying hi to everybody and I just go in the cage. And
that's so funny.
When you set that up, how does that happen? Like, how did you like pick him? Like, as I would call him, the insecure Herb. But how did you like, all right, I want to go check this guy out. And then like when you show up and you see a young girl, I don't mean girl, woman,
yeah.
I don't always have the best words. But like, are they like, hey, like you can come back and keep talking to me?
What's so funny is Bittaker was horrible to me and he did not want to talk to me. Like I kept trying to reach out, and for some reason I kept getting like an intuition to go back to this guy. I don't know what it was. Like no matter how vicious he got with me, like I kept going back, but something kept telling me keep going back to this guy. So it was when I got pregnant was when he first started to open up. And I was probably like 7 or 7.5 months pregnant. I mean, I was out to there.
Wow.
Walked in, and that's when he like finally did a 180, totally switched. That's when he gave me the bodies and everything. And, I think it was like 3.5 years of just pushing and pushing and pushing him that he finally, I gained enough trust. And I think it was him seeing me pregnant like triggered like some deep-seated mommy issues with him.
Wow, that's do you feel like a lot of them have mommy issues? Because I totally feel like they do.
Oh yeah, They all do. Well, yeah, for the majority. Some type of like parent issue is, present with all of them.
Yeah, for sure. Especially Lawrence Bittaker.
Did he surprise you with like the murders and the locations all of a sudden, or did you kind of know it was coming?
No, I was so shocked. Like I got in there, it was like 5 minutes in, and I took out like my pen and paper and I'm jotting down notes, and he grabbed it out of my hand and started drawing a map. I think I said, okay, so Cindy and Andrea have never been found. And he just grabbed it out of my hand and starts drawing a map. And I was just like, what is happening right now?
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild.
Oh, that's really crazy.
It's like an episode of Mindhunter.
Literally. Yeah. And you know what's even funnier is I don't think I've ever said this publicly. Lawrence Bittaker has never, ever sent me a visiting form to actually come visit him.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I said to him in like our last interview, I said, you've never sent me a visiting form. He was like shocked. He's like, well, you've been here for like 5 years. What are you talking about? He wouldn't send me a visiting form. He wouldn't talk to me. I had one of the other inmates actually get me one. Like,
oh, wow.
He's playing hard to get.
He was.
That's nuts.
I can't wait for Robin, their survivor, to hear this episode. She's going to get a kick out of it.
Oh, honestly, that was so cool. It really made my day. So like, I don't know if you haven't listened to the other episodes, people who haven't listened, one of the survivors, Robin Robeck, she listened to our episode about the Toolbox Killers because Laura told her about it. And it was like just so awesome to know that she even liked what we had to say. Like I was so humbled by the whole thing, honestly.
Yeah.
It was
I
really
think,
cool.
A couple other people from the case also checked it out too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I feel bad because I got a few of the things wrong, but I corrected it the following episode because, it's hard when you're looking online. I mean,
oh my God. Everything on this case online is like inaccurate. It's like,
yeah,
literally. So it's so hard to get everything on this case right. It took me, God, a year to go through like the court transcripts, the police discovery, to actually get everything correct. Because everything online is just inaccurate, or just something's off or something. And
like
the
that
names
game
are
Telephone.
changed. Yeah, exactly.
That's nuts.
I feel weird that like some of the victims and people involved like listen, because they're like, fuck that guy, him over there laughing.
Well, yeah, you feel weird because you can be a jerk sometimes. What did you say?
I don't make fun of the people. Sometimes like I may say something about the questionable decisions.
I think you make fun of the killers, which I think is
mostly.
terrible.
Yeah, no, he makes fun of the killers. He's specifically referring to the episode about Mary Vincent. I don't know if you know you've heard Mary Vincent's story. So we did that episode a little bit before we did the Toolbox Killer episode. And before he knew the story about Mary Vincent, I was saying, this 15-year-old girl was hitchhiking. And he's like, well, why would she be hitchhiking? And he's like saying all this, and I'm like, you don't even know what's about to happen.
Voice.
Well, whatever. I was like, you don't even know what's about to happen, but when you find out, you're going to feel really guilty about it. And he did. He felt guilty.
I didn't feel that bad. I mean, the decision was dumb. She was holding a sign up saying going south on the highway. What are these pervs going to think?
Well, you know what is crazy? I went to go visit a friend out in California last summer, and she was talking about picking up a hitchhiker, and I was like, "What?" And I swear to God, and it was last year. And I said to her, I go, I live in Massachusetts. I'm on the East Coast. Nobody hitchhikes. Nobody is going to pick up one. And she was like, well, in California, it's so common even today.
Wow,
and I was like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Which I could not believe, especially with like all the information about serial killers and everything.
No, that is crazy. I wouldn't think it was either. That's nuts.
Those people are stupid. Holy moly.
God. Well, when I was a kid, okay, quick story. We're kind of getting off track, but we always do. But when I was a kid, my dad picked up a hitchhiker. It was this little old lady. She was like, she looked totally normal, little old lady, and it's pouring rain. So he picked her up. He was like, all right, guys, we were all in a pickup truck. So the four of us squeezed in this bucket seat with this little old lady. She gets in, and like 5 minutes down the road, she just starts talking about the craziest shit. And turns out she's probably schizophrenic having a psychotic episode. And my dad's like, oh my God, I have my 2 kids in the car. It was crazy.
Oh my God. I was thinking about Dorothea Puente when you said little old lady.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And this is why I'm not nice to people. I'm not giving anyone a ride. Nothing. I won't even share my Metro card in New York. I'm not swiping them in or nothing.
I didn't know you lived in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I'm an East Coaster, like you guys.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you'd have to fly out to California. Did you go like multiple times a year out there?
Oh yeah. This year I've been out twice, but for like 2 weeks at a time. And it was, my last interviews right before he died. We got in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he know he was dying? Was he sick?
Yeah, we knew. He called me and he goes, I have 2 forms of cancer. It's spreading. I have emphysema. It's, we're getting at the end. And I was like, shit, because we still do like have a ton of shit to investigate with this entire case. And, when he calls me, he's like, yeah, I'm dying. I'm like, not like you've been alive 40 years on death row. Like,
oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
but,
crazy.
I'm still looking into like everything on the case and, pretty much, if there's more victims and how to find everything right now.
So there's more victims than have been reported or than they were charged?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Did you ever think this would turn into like a documentary and a book?
No, never. Because, I had read about their case back in probably high school or college. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is one of the most savage, brutal cases I've ever heard about. But never like in a million years did I think I'd be on death row interviewing him or digging into their case, 40 years later. Like I never imagined it would happen this way.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh, I have a question. I was curious. How did he feel about his nickname, the Toolbox Killers?
I think, he always called himself Pliers. Like
no.
Yeah.
It's like did he like this reputation? Obviously. That's crazy.
He gave himself the nickname Pliers. I think it was like county jail. And, people would send, this is actually a funny story. I needed a copy of one of the autopsy reports. So he had to call his lawyer to get it sent over to me. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want to give it to him to give to me because he was autographing them, Pliers, Bittaker, and sending them out to people. So
oh my God.
She was like, I'm not going to send you another copy of the autopsy report to autograph and send out to somebody as Pliers. Wow. Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all he had to live for at that point, really. That's all he had left.
Yeah, pretty much.
Crazy.
Probably made him feel pretty powerful that like people wanted that and he could like,
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know who's buying it, but
that's nuts. I feel like these guys are on such a power trip that it like really strokes their ego. Like once they get into jail and you have these crazy fans that are like writing them letters and stuff.
Yeah, he had the entire time I was he had a girlfriend out in Ireland.
Oh my God.
Yeah, somewhere crazy.
Oh, Jesus. So you became really close to the victims' families, right? Through this whole thing?
Yeah, I've been talking with Andrea's sister. So Andrea is their second victim, and she has never been recovered. So she's one of the ones we're actually going to go look for, or going to try to look for in the docuseries.
Wow.
And her story, it's crazy because Bittaker had told me, her last moments of life. And she fought back like a bull. And
wow.
She cursed him out and like did some psychological damage to him before she even went out, which I thought was like, I was like listening to him describe it and I was like, yes, I'm so glad she did it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I always hope people fight back, and I'm glad. Like, even though she didn't, I mean, I wish she would have got away, but at least she like
fought back,
and now he'll never be able to forget this. She probably played on all his insecurities.
Oh, she did, and she beat the shit out of Norris even before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, some of the stories are just crazy with this case, and and then there was Robin, She survived. And another woman, Kristen, I'm going to talk about her in the book and coming up. And she was raped by Norris, and she was able to jump through a window. So the window was like halfway down, but he was choking her, and she was almost like passed out. Was able to get out the window, and it was funny. She left her purse in the car, and her purse inside the purse was a key with her address on it. So Norris actually called Bittaker and started freaking out, saying, she saw my face. She's going to go to the cops. And Bittaker said, we're going to have to go kill her. And they actually tried to go to her house to kill her.
Wow.
And she had no idea until I called her up 40 years later that they had even went to her house to kill her.
Wow. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit, man.
Yeah, these are like some real details. We always get like internet details. This is
Yeah.
like even crazier.
These are like the real details that are going to come out.
Shit.
How long have you been writing this book?
Oh God, the day not even a couple weeks after he gave me the bodies, I was just like, I called, the district attorney, and just randomly I tracked down Robin. So as I started tracking everybody down one by one, I was like, oh my God, this is a book. Like, just because it's like, when you start digging into a case, you'll go to one person and then you'll go to the next person and you'll find out all these new details, and you're just like, holy shit. And you just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And pretty much exactly what happened is I started going deeper, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a book. Because I was like, there's so many details people don't even know about the case. And you're just like, holy shit, how is this not even known or out there anywhere?
What is the name of the book going to be?
It's What Hell is Like, the untold story of the Toolbox Killers. And the title comes from right before it. Do you guys know the infamous audio tape that was surrounded this case?
Yeah, the one of them torturing, was it Ledford?
Ledford, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So right before it was played in court, Stephen Kay, who's the district attorney, he said to the court, if you don't know what hell is like, you're about to find out.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's
crazy.
Got me a little speechless. Jeez.
So as far as like, do you feel like when you were talking to all these guys, because I know Lawrence Bittaker is the guy that you've, spoken in depth with the most, but you've interviewed like 50 serial killers.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's, was it really hard? Like, did you have bad dreams, or did you have some type of like, I don't know, not damage, but what, like a little.
Like, yeah, I know what you're saying. The only one I've had a nightmare about is Bittaker Norris, because I think I went so deep into their case.
Yeah.
But not with the other guys. Trying to think. Well, you guys are going to be at CrimeCon, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to actually, if you guys watch my presentation, I'm going to start out with like, because I have all my interviews recorded. So I'm going to play a big soundbite of like all the recorded interviews with different guys. So you get to hear like a piece of each and every one and of all the different serial killers. And some of them are just, the interviews are crazy because I'm really surprised. Like, even when I'm recording them, they don't hold back.
They don't?
Like, no. And it's crazy. Some of the recordings I have where they're just talking about the crimes in detail or body placement in detail. And it's almost like they forget they're being recorded.
Wow. Yeah. Or it's like they just don't care that they're being. I feel like they're so narcissistic and they have like no conscience and no filter that they're just like, they just say it like it's like if I'm describing riding a bike, but they're talking about like brutally raping and murdering people.
Yeah, but they've also been caught. So at this point, they have nothing to lose. They could brag all they want because to them, they think it's a cool thing. They kept doing it over and over.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What else do they have really at this point?
Yeah.
So when we go to CrimeCon, your presentation is probably going to be the only one I'm going to attend because the rest of the time I'll be at the pool while Jess is geeking out.
No, he's not. He's going to come. How about, are you, so I don't know, people who are going to CrimeCon, one of the attorneys that's going to be there, Baez.
Oh, yeah.
he's the one that got Casey Anthony off and Aaron Hernandez off.
Yeah, I know.
He's a scumbag defender, huh?
I'm interested in hearing him. I really am.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, he's a great attorney. If you think about it.
Obviously, right? If you ever do any terrible shit, call him.
No, he's the one you want to call.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't do anything terrible.
So we have this. So last week we did an episode about Scott Peterson, or was it last week or the week before? The week before, we talked about Scott Peterson, and he's at San Quentin too.
Oh yeah,
and we caused a lot of controversy because people did not expect Russ to. Russ didn't say that he's innocent, but he definitely said there isn't enough evidence to convict him. And people were like, oh my God, you don't think that he did it? You know, people got upset at Russ. So do you think that Scott Peterson is guilty?
You know, I'm going to agree with Russ. And I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash. It's not that I think, I don't know. I've never interviewed him and I've never looked into his case enough to say either or.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's enough to convict him. However, like you said, the behavior is so freaking weird. Like just all of the behavior he did is just bizarre to me. Like all of it.
All of it. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was laughing so hard when you're talking about like how Scott didn't want the police coming up and scratching his car.
Yeah.
And Russ is like, well, what kind of car was it?
It matters.
No, it
Yes, it does. I'm telling you, it's instinct. If I see someone too close to my car, what are you doing over there?
Yeah, but if Jess is missing and the cops are coming, I'd be like, park on my front lawn. I don't care. Just get in here. Yeah.
But then you're gonna have two problems: a dented car and a missing wife.
Stop.
No, obviously, I'd be worried about Jess, but I would be like, "Hey, deputy, move your car over."
Well, what was it, like an F-250 or something like that?
Yeah.
F1. You know what? Dudes love their trucks. I'm not a truck guy, but dudes love their trucks.
Yeah, but is that like a nice enough car, like not to be like? I don't know.
It's not like a freaking Ferrari or something.
Right.
F-150. I mean. So what about the other one we talked about in that episode was Adnan Syed, because like the Serial podcast is what got me obsessed with true crime podcasts.
Guilty. Yeah.
And Russ firmly believes he's guilty, like without a doubt. I remember back in 2014 when Serial first came out, because I'm from Baltimore. So I remember when Heyman Lee died. Like I was in high school at the time. And I remember when she died, I remember all the coverage about it, the news coverage and everything. And so when the Serial podcast came out, everyone was like, oh my God, you have to listen to this, because I know everything they're talking about, all the places and stuff they're talking about. And I listened to it and I was like, Russ, and he's not as into true crime as me. So I was like, Russ, you have to listen to this. And within like I think the second episode, he was like, oh, this kid totally did it. And I'm like, wait a second. How do you know that?
I'm a profiler.
Oh.
So he believes he did it.
All right. Before I say anything, I'm going to circle it all back together. But, okay, I have a question for you guys. Where were you guys when 9/11 happened?
I was at school. I was in high school. I was at school. I got taken out of school.
And I was sleeping.
Yeah, he was asleep.
And someone woke me up. They said, hey, Russ. I had like a friend living with me at the time. And he was like, yo, Russ, the Twin Towers just fell. And I was like, shut up. I'm going back to sleep. I thought they were and I went back to sleep. I thought they were messing with me.
He thought they were kidding.
It was a joke.
Yeah, he really didn't believe them. And then he woke up.
I was like, that's a stupid joke too. And then when I like woke up like an hour later, I probably didn't really go back to sleep, but it like really happened.
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was in middle school, but I remember a kid came in late and started screaming about it, and like the whole class went into like hysteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But here's my like whole point is like you guys can recall that day it happened because it was a significant day. Something happened. So think about the two cases, you just mentioned. Like, you remember like when the cops are questioning both of them, like, where were you? and they can't even recall details of when something really, really significant happened to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's always like stuck out to me is like, how can you not remember? Because something that significant, like anything is going to stick with you and you're going to be able to recall details from that day. You're not going to be like, oh, I think I was golfing, or I think I was fishing, or I think I was at school. I think I was at track. Like, you can pretty much recall that memory pretty rapidly and pretty distinctly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
So, yeah. So, and then the thing about, so again, I've never interviewed him. I don't know, but I have to agree with Russ about the case. I think, it's just weird to me that the kid, Jay, knew where the car was. And I don't know any other way he would know where that car was unless, he had told him right where it was.
No, I'm totally like, I've listened to season 1 3 times now just because Russ told me he's adamant about feeling that he's guilty. So I keep trying to listen to it to be like, what are you hearing that I'm not hearing? Because I don't necessarily believe Adnan is innocent. I'm on the fence. I can't decide if he's innocent or guilty. But since Russ like vehemently says, oh no, he's guilty, I keep listening to this stupid podcast, like trying to figure out what he's hearing. But I have to say, in our life, Russ is really good. Like, he's good with characters. Like, he's good with like just pinpointing pretty quickly if someone is a scumbag or a good person or a piece of crap. Like, he can usually pick up on it pretty fast.
Let's go off energy.
Yeah.
He's okay with being in jail. So to me, that's weird because he was okay with being in jail kind of like right away. He's like, well, I'm just in here. Like, it is what it is. And if you like are going to jail for however long for killing someone, it's like 20 years or so. I don't really know. And normally you would at least, you got some fight in you.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they dug a little deeper, they'd probably find even more. And if he didn't do it, he definitely knows who did it. And like, he's involved, but I don't think there's enough evidence for him to be in jail either, though.
Yeah, it's crazy when there's not enough evidence. But, I did notice, I don't know if it's a prison thing, but I noticed like the way he talked is very similar to like my interviews, which you guys will hear.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's a prison thing or if it really is, speaks to a psychopathy of somebody, but there were like, I don't know, just the way he was evasive with the answers. You know what I'm saying? When you listen back. Yeah.
Definitely.
Or maybe he's trying to be like macho. Like, I don't care if I'm in here. Like, I'm a man.
Maybe.
Yeah, but if you were innocent, like you would be, I don't know, like you said, there would be fight in you,
Yeah, because it's not like he's in jail for like a short term, like a year or something. He's like, that's his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. So the docuseries, is it like being filmed yet or is it coming up soon? Have you started that yet?
So my production company is in New York as we speak, and they're doing the pitches right now.
Oh.
He just called me and told me 2 networks that are interested, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say what they are yet.
Okay, no,
don't do it then.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys like off audio.
Yeah, no problem.
But we have 2 interested, but I think he still wants to go to Netflix, Hulu, and the streaming services. And
okay, cool.
Yeah, do a couple more pitches.
So it would.
Hey, whoever pays the most, that's who you should do.
Well, that's probably what they're going to do.
When it comes to like a docuseries, like being someone, who wrote that, like, did you figure this all out? Or at one point were you like, okay, now things are starting to happen. I need to get a manager. Or did you just kind of hustle and do this yourself?
It was kind of, it's crazy. I started like digging into the case and somehow they got wind of it and contacted me. And I was like, oh my God. And they were like, we really want to look into this case. And we got your name from the district attorney that you're already digging into it. And we want to do a docuseries, like Making of a Murderer.
Wow.
And that's how it it just literally happened. They just got my name and called me. But no, I didn't go to like Hollywood and like seek them out.
Okay.
Well, they might come seeking you after this first one.
Yeah, you're going to keep, it's true. It's like you only keep growing from here. That's so awesome.
You could be like, you're going to be
Fingers
the real
crossed.
Nancy Drew.
Yes, that's the goal.
No, that's really cool. Honestly, a lot of people can't say that they like get to do every day something that they're really passionate about. So like for you to be able to do that, I'm sure like obviously that sounds really glamorous, and I'm sure there are days where you have to like trudge through it, or you're like, oh God, having just an off day like anybody.
Right.
But the fact that you get to do something you're passionate about every day is really cool.
Oh no, I'm so blessed and I'm so lucky. Like even the days like I don't want to, do an interview with a serial killer, they're calling my phone nonstop. I just have like, everybody has those days. But I always think, like you've dreamed of this, you've wanted this, you work so hard.
Yeah.
Like you're so lucky. Like, and I'm so blessed and I'm so lucky. And I'm lucky, like, the producers got in contact with me and, I've gotten this opportunity to look into this case and Bittaker gave me all this stuff to even look into, which is even crazy to think about.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you ever yell at him because you were tired of his shit at any time?
Yeah. Our last interview got so heated and I just started swearing at him.
Really?
Yeah. I was just like, because I was, we're at the end and we know he's dying. And I was just like, how do you get to this level of torture? And he was just like, I don't know. It's weird. It's crazy. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking weird. I was like, help me.
Good.
We just like started like, and it was so weird. It was just like,
Well, he deserved it. I was just curious because it would have took me a lot to like not curse him out after like meeting him the first time or two.
yeah. Well, when you go, like, he's like this little old man, like back
That's
when I was
true.
like,
He's like a little old, fragile old man.
He looks like what's the dude from Lord of the Rings?
oh my God.
Well, he did, yeah.
Well, I don't watch any of that. I just
guess.
I just picturing someone little and skinny and wrinkled.
Oh, the little Gollum.
That's maybe
whatever
I don't know.
His name is. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. It was bad. Like the last, he was so sick at that, but he was still coming down for that last couple round of interviews. And he could barely, he was in a wheelchair and he could barely even stand up. And like, he like got up and like fell over. And like, I had to actually catch him at one point.
Wow.
And the guards are like looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, let him go back to bed. And I was like, we're not finished yet.
So he ended up naming you like the beneficiary of his estate or something?
Yeah. So he left a will and he left everything, but it's still being like legally worked out right now. Because I forgot, like he forgot to have some like little thing signed. So now I have to like go through a lawyer and everything.
No.
But we want to get our whole plan was, because I said to him, I want to donate your brain to science. And we had both decided Boston College for the university just because I know a professor there. And ironically, someone just told me that Aaron Hernandez, actually his brain got donated there.
Yeah, it did actually.
Which is so weird. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're doing this massive study on, the brains right now of killers and I think athletes, I want to say.
Yeah, because of like the traumatic
CTE.
brain injury,
Right,
the TBIs and stuff. Wow.
I know that stuff because I watch ESPN.
That's cool. Did you go to did you go to Boston College?
No. I just know, who I know there is, do you guys watch Mindhunter?
Yeah. So my friend, I knew you were going to say her. What's her name? The professor there?
Okay. Her real name is Ann Burgess. And then on the show, it's Wendy Carr.
Yeah, so Ann Burgess, so my good friend that I work with in the ER, her name is Addie. She listens to us, so she's going to listen to this interview. She took a forensic class from Ann Burgess, because I think Ann Burgess is a nurse, right?
Yeah.
She's a nurse, and she did like this whole study on serial killers. So it's really cool, like her being a nurse and being a forensic nurse, and then she got that this amazing career in forensics. And then the Mindhunter character was, based on her, which is so cool. So actually my friend Addie knows her too.
Oh, that's so funny. She actually helped me dissect like Bittaker. Like I'm speaking mentally, psychology wise.
I was thinking, wait a minute, you cut him up?
No.
Yeah, but she was like so on point. Like she looked at his case and I'm showing her like all the new information. And she was like, he has a bearing fetish from his childhood. And, you should explore this with him and maybe like homosexual fantasies. Like she just honed in on like every little aspect of, just his psychopathy. And it was like dead on when I went back and re-interviewed him with like those points she had made with it.
Yeah, like with her little pieces of information in at the back of your brain.
I told you you might be gay, Jess.
He did say that, Russ.
I told you.
Well, he is bisexual, and he had like a ton of, encounters, and but there is a theory that him and Norris were. Now they both deny it. I don't know. That's a big like mystery
question mark.
Yeah.
Is Norris still alive?
Norris is still alive. He's in San Diego.
Does he want to talk to you?
I talked to Norris. I actually talked to Norris. He was actually the warm and friendly one in the beginning, and he was talking to me. And it was when I told him I was going to do a book, he shut down, and he was just like, "Nope, I don't consent." And I was just like, "Neither did your victims."
Wow, get him. Bars.
He just didn't want me, he's up for parole. So he doesn't want like any publicity or anything about the case coming out at all. And I think he knows like a couple of the things I've uncovered, and he's not happy.
He's never
about
getting
it.
out. There's no way.
Well, in his mind, he really thinks he might get out.
Wow.
Yeah.
If someone lets him out, they shouldn't be a judge no more, or whoever does it. I don't know.
Parole board.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's never going to get out.
You don't let out serial killers.
I don't think he's going to get out either. But that's crazy though. So yeah, Russ was really pretty adamant about the fact that he thought they were gay.
They made jewelry and all that.
That's how they bonded.
You know how they met or something? They were making jewelry.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes. See, my memory's okay. Told you.
That is how they met, and that's how they bonded. They would make jewelry inside a prison, and they would talk about like all their fantasies.
Wow.
It sounds like a date to me. You make jewelry and you talk about your fantasies.
I just can't even imagine that conversation. Like, I just can't even fathom that conversation of like talking about these explicit, disgusting things.
I asked both of them like so many times, like, how does that even come up in conversation? I don't even understand like how you guys got into like, hey, let's rape and murder some teenagers up in the mountains. Like, how does that happen? And Norris said to me, he goes, "Oh, it was just locker room talk."
Oh my God. Doesn't that sound familiar?
Oh my goodness. I bet it was kind of like they started talking about things that weren't that bad, and they kept like pushing each other to see like who's okay with doing more.
Yeah, that's what I think happened too. Like
exactly. It started out with, I'll beat someone up. Oh yeah, I beat them up. Yeah, maybe, and when they're dead, maybe like I don't know, pee on them. And then it went to whatever. I don't want to talk too much about that.
Well, what's like out too is they tried to actually recruit 2 more guys into their duo while they were doing it. And I just talked to one of the cellmates. Now this is when they were in county jail. Now Bittaker thought he was going to get out. He was going to beat all the charges, because when they first got arrested, it was only on the rape of Robin. They didn't have any of the bodies. They had nothing to really charge them with, but they knew they were serial killers. They had someone come forward. But they were trying to get all the evidence together. So Bittaker thought, you know what, I'm going to beat everything. I'm going to get out. And one of the guys told me Bittaker was actually trying to recruit him while he was in county. So so he kept trying to recruit all these guys, to get in on this rape and murders. Like,
he was trying to start like a gang of serial killers.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Wow. That is nuts.
Jewelry making serial killer gang. That's Insecure Herbs. That could have been the name of their gang.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so with CrimeCon, you're going to be, do you know what day you're presenting on in CrimeCon?
They told me early on. So I'm guessing Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
They haven't like made the schedule yet.
I don't think so. They said it's going to be like one of the first few ones though.
Okay, cool. I'm so excited to meet you in person, and I'm really excited to come to your talk. I really am. I can't wait to hear it.
I know.
So
when
when is the like book? Do you have a release date for the book yet?
Not yet. So we're going to do the docuseries, and we're going to start looking. The whole docuseries is going to be exploring, pretty much all the unknowns of this case as of right now. We have, a 6 murder, well, 6, about like 9 murders, or they keep stacking up pretty much that we have to look into.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to be like kind of going back, looking at everything, and trying to track down who these girls are, and hopefully doing the search for everything. And Bittaker also gave the buried evidence, where we actually think there's a lot more evidence of more victims buried there too.
Wow.
So we're going to try to like go back and do everything. So once we go back and like explore and investigate everything, like to the max, with backing and funding.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm going, I'm putting down like the tracks down, to write the book. So I have like the first half written, but I have no idea what's going to happen next, pretty much.
So
Yeah.
this can go anywhere. It can get really crazy.
It could. Yeah.
I mean, it's already crazy. But,
It's already.
Wow.
It is. Yeah.
And I'll listen to the audiobook. I don't really read a lot.
Oh my god.
At least he's honest.
Well, it's still reading.
It is.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do listen to audiobooks though.
Yeah, he does.
Well, you guys will actually get to hear. I have about 10 hours recorded with Bittaker too, so you'll get to hear some of it. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
At CrimeCon, you're gonna play?
Yeah, I'm gonna play a couple clips of Bittaker's and I, and then on the docuseries, I think they're gonna air a lot of it too.
Wow. Well, that's so cool. Thank you so much for taking time today to talk to us.
Yeah,
and,
thank you
like,
guys for
hanging
having
out
me
with
on. I'm such a fan.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. It's
Yeah.
exciting that you like it.
I've been telling everybody to check you guys out. I'm like, it's so funny. You've got to just listen to it. It's just hysterical, and it's a great like true crime podcast, which is even better.
Oh, well, good.
Thanks, I appreciate
you.
that.
I really appreciate it. We try to balance it out with because it's such a serious subject.
Right.
And I feel like me having Russ here really because if it was just me, I'd be really serious about it.
Yeah.
But he does a good job at like balancing me out. So.
I mean, I'm just being myself. I'm really not
Yeah.
putting it on. This
Yeah.
is just who we are in person too. People that like, oh wait, you guys are just like the podcast. Like,
Yeah.
it's just us.
No, it's hysterical. I love it.
Well, good. I'm really glad. Thank you so much, though, really, for taking time with us. And
Of course.
I'm excited to see you at CrimeCon, and I can't wait for all this to
cannot
come
wait
out.
to meet you guys. Honestly, we're gonna have a drink afterwards. We're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. I'll be drinking by the pool the whole time.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really, really had fun making this. Laura is doing some awesome work. We're super excited for her and her book and her docuseries and everything she has going on. You can follow her on Instagram at NancyDrew187. She's also on Facebook at Laura Jacqueline. And she's going to be at CrimeCon May 1st through the 3rd. She'll be doing a presentation there. So definitely, if you're going to be at CrimeCon, you have to come see her talk. We'll all be there. We can all have a drink together. It'll be a really fun time. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod, on Facebook at Wife of Crime, The Crime Family, and at wifeofcrime.com. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay fit, stay alive. See you later. Bye.